dress up. You can order a paint kit. I know some guys earlier in the earlier session, and I have shared that with others. They'll call, hey, I need to paint one edge, Ed. I got to get off this job site. I'm like, well, you know, I can't wait for your kit to come in, your paint kit. I need it right away. One of the things you can do is get the adhesive that you're actually using for the grooves, for the seams. You can actually mix that together and then get you some lacquer thinner and kind of dilute it a little bit and apply that, because once it sets, of course you want to wipe it good, but once it's set, it actually cures. I had one of the guys in the earlier session say that they don't use the part A and B, they just use the pigment. That's a no-no, because when you put that pigment on there, all somebody's got to do is come with some acetone or some thinner, and it's coming right off. The reason we send the A and the B is one's a neutral, one's a hardener, and the other is a pigment. So it bonds. After it's typically, I told them this morning, it takes about 8 hours to fully cure. So you can apply this. It's going to be tack-free once you put it on, and you'll see that here in a little bit. But you want to wait at least 8 hours. You don't want to drop no thinner on that, because it will come right off just like if the pigment does. So this afternoon, I'm going to kind of demonstrate on how to mix this. I was sharing with the earlier group, if you do get one of these kits, if you're working up north and it's cold and snowing and everything else, you do need to keep this in room temperature, because we have a part A and a part B. The part B, the resin is really, really thick. At the plant during the winter time, we have to put a heating coil around our barrel just to keep it from thickening up, because when you'll see here in a little bit, and this is at room temperature, and it still takes a little bit to pour out. But what you're going to do is we'll send you the part A, the part B, and we'll send you the pigment. That's what's going to be sent to you. You have to purchase the lacquer thinner, because we can't send that out. They don't allow us to send that out anymore. So you'll have to get it. But they will send you a small container, just one container, and you just got to fill it twice. So if you're going to mix this, let's just say if you had 15 edges or so that you want to finish and you want to paint, I would sand all of those first before I even paint them. Don't mix your paint, because this has a shelf life of around 4 hours. That's it. After 4 hours, it's going to get hard on you. And I don't know what they did with the lid to this one. This comes with the lid on it, but you want to put the lid on after you mix the paint. Have the lid on it, because like I said, the lacquer thinner is just to dilute it and allow it to stay for a little bit longer, because once that lacquer thinner evaporates, if you keep this open, this stuff will turn hard. It'll be like a hockey puck after a while. So, but 4 hours is a recommended shelf life, unless it's really, really hot out there where you're working at. Then you may want to wait. Like I said, if you can paint everything in 2 hours, then you're good. But I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate to y'all how to mix this. If you order some and you got one edge to paint like that, there's no sense in mixing all this. What you're going to do is just 2-part 50-50 like you do your smooth on. And then on this right here, this is 8 ounces. We put about 2 ounces of pigment in there for that. So, and I'll show you a little trick here in a little bit. When you paint it, you'll see if you hadn't put enough pigment in there and you go to paint your edge and it looks like a dullish gray, all you got to do is come back, add a little bit more pigment, you'll be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up.
We had a couple of other comments, I guess, in the previous group. One of them was they don't use this; they just use a matte finish paint. That's not going to hold any chemical resistance. It's going to be a mess when you do that. I've also heard of people from years gone by using black shoe polish. Well, that's guaranteed that if all it takes is the guy walking by with his white lab coat that gets a little bit of water on it and it's just a damp spot, and he's going to hit that and the shoe polish is coming off, and they will be incredibly upset at you. So don't try to come up with your own solutions to this. This works. This you'll be backed with, and it maintains the chemical resistance of everything, so it's not going to come off.
So rather than dumping all of it at one time, can you like make smaller portions?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can mix all, but on the part A and part B, 50-50.
Yeah.
And then, so like if you say you went 4 ounces with both, 2 ounces of this, 2 ounces of that, you want to use 4 ounces of thinner. And then the pigment, you can just eyeball that and see how much. If you're using all of it, at least about over 2 ounces of pigment is what you want to do. Okay. And this is the B that I was talking about. As you can see, this one's a lot more. Now, if you've left this out in the cold in your truck and you come in the next day and you're ready to paint, guess what? It's gonna be a while, because you're gonna be squishing this stuff out of there.
Can you accelerate thawing it out? Like you put,
Huh?
Can you accelerate thawing it out? I mean, as far as like putting some heat around it if you did leave it out overnight?
Yeah, you could. I mean, like I said, we use barrel warmers on ours. I don't know what, you'd have to be limited with the plastic, of course, you know, you don't want to, but, I mean, on ours, on the metal, we use that.
Usually we just put it in hot water.
Hot water, yeah,
Get the chopped up from hot water for a little while, let them.
that works out for you. Hey, there you go.
On the can, it'll tell you, you know, part A, part B, 2 parts of lacquer thinner and a certain part of the pigment. So you can take that down to whatever amount that you want to mix in, just that's the proportions of it.
Is it safe enough to kind of eyeball? If it's a little heavy
Yeah.
on one or the other, it's not going to make that
Well,
much
you want to be
difference.
pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, you want to
Yeah.
be pretty close, but I mean, even when you're using these, you can set them down, look at the side, yeah, they're pretty close, pour a little bit more.
I don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be exact, it's not like you got so many grams of this and that, I mean, that's not, no, don't worry about that. All right. And then, of course, we're gonna go ahead, because we're mixing the whole batch, we'll put 2 8 ounces of the lacquer thinner. And the key is to mix this, because you're gonna, on the bottom, you're gonna feel how that's real thick, all them resins are gonna be sitting on the bottom, so you wanna make sure that you mix those properly. And you'll see when you come up, if you still see a lot of that resin on there, just go ahead and keep on mixing it.
What's the ideal consistency we're shooting for?
Water.
Water?
It's basically like water. It's mainly lacquer thinner.
Yeah.
It's almost like a stain when you're getting ready to paint it. It should be similar to a stain, which is real fine.
And is this safe to apply if there's like a scratch on the top of the surface?
You don't want to, we'll talk a little bit about that on the scratches here in a little bit after, because we're going to talk about marring over here when we get to this other station, and I'll bring that up. So that's basically it. Once you've got it like that, you don't see any of the, of course, when you're going to paint, put on your gloves so you don't get it all over yourself. It's good practice also, so you're not getting that thinner exposed to your hands.
That always gets on my hands. That stuff always gets on my hands.
Yeah.
They still got stuff on my fingers.
And then you just come in here, dip your little rag. They'll send you these with you. All you're going to do is fold them up. All this is a little bit of masking tape around there. As you can see here on the bottom of there, you'll see like a little ring on the bottom of that. If you have too much lacquer thinner and you didn't put enough of part A and B, you'll see that lacquer thinner start to go further down. That's when you know you haven't mixed that properly, or you put too much lacquer thinner in there. So once you've got this, again, cover it back up. I don't have my lid on there, so apologize for that one. But anyway, make sure you got this covered up, and always hold this up because you got that paint on there, and it'll get on the floor, and when it gets on the floor, it's